Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today for part 1 of We Need to Talk About Ezra Miller. Please smash the like, share the video, and subscribe. Ezra Miller is the talk of the town. As far as celebrities go with colorful histories, Ezra Miller is one that seems to be in the news far too often for all the wrong reasons. Many people know Ezra Miller as The Flash, but Ezra has had a long and interesting film and musical career. That is coupled with bizarre behaviors off-set, which has landed him in a lot of hot water, especially most recently. With bizarre grooming allegations surfacing regarding the actor, I started wondering, just who is Ezra Miller? Was he a Disney kid? I ask that knowing how Disney has a controversial history of influencing young kids working for them, such as Britney Spears, Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato, and more. So I got curious and went down a rabbit hole, again. The short answer of whether or not Ezra is a Disney kid is no, but Ezra does have a very odd history. In these series of videos, I'll be covering the early life of Ezra Miller, his rise to fame, film history, and most notable parts he's played, comments about his sexuality, lifestyle, activism, bizarre behaviors, and arrest history. My purpose in making this video is to show the history of Ezra Miller, show the facts and receipts of his character, and let you decide what to make of him. Ezra Miller was born in Wyckoff, New Jersey in 1992 and has 2 older sisters. Their mother, Marta Miller, is a modern dancer, and their father, Robert S. Miller, was Senior Vice President and Managing Director of Hyperion Books and later became a publisher at Workman Publishing. Miller's father is Jewish, whereas their mother is a Christian of Dutch and German descent. Ezra Miller self-identifies as Jewish and quote-unquote spiritual. At the age of 6, Ezra started to train as an opera singer in order to overcome a speech impediment. Ezra sung with the Metropolitan Opera and performed in the American premiere of Philip Glass's opera White Raven. Ezra commented on the experience in the past, saying, "That was a very confusing and trippy creation tale, and I was a kid who brought up the sun and rotated the earth. It was very empowering." Miller went on to join the children's chorus at the Metropolitan Opera for 2 seasons. Here's what Miller had to say about learning to sing opera.
Very expressively.
Well, I had an alto soprano voice, so it was like once the balls started dropping,
you were out.
It was
like
over.
New Year's Eve, it was over for you.
And the woman who, for like 25 years, commanded the Metropolitan Opera Children's Chorus, this woman named Elena Doria, was a fascist, for lack of a better term. She was like a fascistic tyrant.
Really?
And she actually used to make us call her Judge Judy.
Why?
That was her self-image of authority.
The singing lessons helped reveal Ezra's artistic potential, and his mother signed him up for acting classes. In 2018, Ezra Miller reflected further on his childhood experiences with sexuality and bullying in an interview with Playboy magazine. The article reads, "He also was bullied due to a severe speech impediment that led his parents to enroll him in speech therapy. He hated those courses so much that he told his family, 'I'd rather be broken than having someone trying to fix me all the time.' Instead, he conquered his stutter through singing, a development that he credits in part to the occult." That's an interesting choice of words, the occult. He carries on, "I started singing because this woman, my kindergarten music teacher, did a very particular type of witchcraft, which is something a true artist can do with any child who carries a creative energy. Essentially, you just point your wand, which is your finger, at that child, and you say, 'You are an artist.'" Kindergarten was a pivotal time for young Ezra. It was the age at which he fell in love with a male classmate, leading him to ask his older sisters if he's gay. Miller, who dropped out of high school at 16, remembers having his first sex dream at the age of 4. It involved a witch imprisoning him on a waterspout, an experience he recalls as tantalizing and delightful. He later tells me in reference to discussing the sex dream and his unusual bones, "It's funny when an interview starts and you suddenly realize the stuff you're going to end up talking about that you've never talked about with anyone." When I ask him if he has an early memory of Playboy, he describes a time in elementary school when he and a boy a couple of years his senior, a friend and also sexual partner found a sexy stash of items belonging to the boy's divorced mother. Playboys, the Kama Sutra. I remember it being very influential lingerie. We would jerk each other off while we interacted with that stuff, in various ways, actually, Miller says, quickly smirking self-consciously over how much he just divulged. Understanding that Ezra Miller has had such an early sexual awakening is extremely alarming and gives me pause. As stated in the interview, Ezra attended Rockland Country Day School and the Hudson School, dropping out at age 16 after release of the film After School. Ezra talked about his experience of being discovered in the Hollywood Reporter interview he did in 2018 while speaking about his experience of being cast in After School and thoughts on stardom. The comments were very interesting. This guy came backstage and gave me his card and was like, "You want to work in film?" he says. The guy, a creepy reptile manager who shall remain unnamed, led Miller to director Antonio Campos, who gave him his lead role in After School, a dark drama about a prep schooler who captures the drug overdose of two girls on video. That was a great film experience because of how effed up it was and like a psychotic filmmaking process with young kids, he says with a laugh, and then I was just hooked to film. Ezra Miller went on to be cast in several minor roles such as Keiki, the Cake from Outer Space, which is his first credited role on IMDb. Ezra played the part of Damian Patterson in Californication in 2008, and he played Tucker Bryant in Royal Pains in 2009 to 2010. And then in 2011, Ezra Miller starred in his biggest role at the time, which got him a lot of recognition and is considered to be his breakout role. We need to talk about Kevin. Ezra played the teen version of Kevin, the frighteningly manipulative and ultimately psychopathic son of Tilda Swinton's Eva. It's a dark story that shows Eva's memories of her oldest child in a retrospective 2 years after he commits a horrifying mass murder. I watched We Need to Talk About Kevin when it first came out and it left me deeply disturbed. The movie is a great one, but to be honest, I had forgotten that Ezra Miller was the star of the movie until very recently. I always thought I first saw Ezra Miller in The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which I also enjoyed. And that's his next movie in 2012, but no, Ezra Miller is Kevin, and I'm not sure how I forgot about it. Here's what Ezra had to say about his role as Kevin. We see Kevin over the course of his life become more and more of a monster, and her resentment grows stronger until there's this explosion of rage, and they're at war, Miller said in March 2011. That performance was entirely about finding all of the anger and the resentment inherent to mother and child. It's just a scary truth, and it's a very old story that's entirely undertold. It's too dark, too dirty. In the moments where my mind could escape Kevin's, I had this growing, gathering appreciation for everything my mother did right, Ezra tells New York Magazine in 2012. But to bring back to the forefront of my brain this loving, empathetic relationship with my mother would have been extremely detrimental to either me or the film, so it was really essential that she kept a fair distance. In the Hollywood Reporter interview, I mentioned that Ezra had this disturbing thing to say about his experience with Me Too in Hollywood involving an unnamed director and producer. They gave me wine and I was underage, he recalls. They were like, "Hey, you want to be in our movie about gay revolution?" And I was like, "No, you guys are monsters. He's on a roll now." It's a great effing age of being like, you know what? That ish is unacceptable. And it's amazing for a lot of us to watch because, like, we all knew it was unacceptable when we effing survived it. That's what Hollywood is. I thought we all knew we were sex workers. Often in Hollywood, we see very young child stars being used and taken advantage of. Was Ezra Miller abused as well? Is he a victim of Hollyweird? It's undeniable that Ezra Miller was thrown into the spotlight at a very young and impressionable age. It also probably didn't help that while being a teenager, Ezra apparently avoided talking to his mom for months in preparation for the role, until the production was over, which is in itself a form of isolation tactic used by predators when it comes to grooming kids. Not that this would be his fault, because he was so young, but it pinpoints to a deeper and much darker problem in Hollywood, where young child actors are in precarious situations and lack mental health support resources as they embark on their careers, and perhaps even a more sinister motive. If you enjoyed this part 1 video, please smash the like, share the video, and your thoughts in the comments down below. Stay tuned for part 2. Till next time, bye!